Skull is a super low-budget public domain horror stinker that begins with a cheesy narration warning you that this movie is so scary you could die of fright.
Its producers feel they must assure free burial services to anyone who dies of fright while seeing The Screaming Skull.
If you're gonna die of anything, it's laughter. The plot involves a newlywed couple, Jenny and Eric, who are moving into their new house. Well, the house isn't exactly new. It belongs to Eric, who lived there with his last wife. She died from slipping on a leaf and hitting her head on a stone wall next to the pond. Seriously, that's the actual explanation. You'd think this would be a traumatic memory for Eric, but he doesn't seem to care. He casually keeps images of her all around. There's an obelisk in the yard with her face on it, and there's a painting of her he keeps in the house. Isn't that what any man does? Keep images of your last wife all over the place for your new wife to see? Well, the plot goes deeper. Jenny has a history of mental illness, and her parents died, and the painting of Eric's dead wife resembles Jenny's dead mother. It's just more convoluted backstory. The main story is Eric's past. After all, that's who the Screaming Skull is. It's his wife. But somehow it all gets shoved onto Jenny. One time she wanders out of bed in the middle of the night, hearing an open window slamming in the wind. She approaches it, and then all of a sudden, there's a jump cut and she's crying in Eric's arms. What happened? What did we miss? I would say I have a bad DVD, but this jump cut is also present on the Mystery Science Theater version.
Oh, the film broke and it was horrible.
This movie is full of jump cuts. Look at this one coming up.
I want you to call Dr. Ann tomorrow in New York.
Wow. There's another scene where she again wanders out of bed, hearing the sounds of knocking on the door. Well, she takes about 5 hours to answer it, and finally when she does, oh my god, it's the skull! Holy shit, somebody's rolling a skull through the doorway! Does that also mean the skull was knocking on the door? Yes, for a skull, it sure gets around. It's always appearing in strange places, like in the closet, rising from a pond, or floating in thin air. The only thing it doesn't do is scream. Well, sort of. It sounds like a high-pitched door creak. Jenny sure does a lot of screaming, though. They should just call it the Screaming Bitch. Or the nonchalant dickhead who doesn't care about his dead wife. I do find some enjoyment with this film. It's got that creepy atmosphere. This shot, for example, this dark exterior of the house, in combination with the eerie music, it's not bad. Unless you stop and think you're looking at a POV shot of a disembodied skull that's floating sideways past somebody's house. There's a weird gardener who's always lurking about, who we're led to think is behind everything. But really, he has nothing to do with it. They could have just as well not included this character. Eric's the guy behind the whole thing. So why does he want to drive his new wife insane? How is he able to hide a skull all around the house and make it roll without her knowing? And is it just a coincidence that the real wife actually is coming for him? A skull, nonetheless, rolling down the stairs? Why is she a transparent ghost at first, and then all of a sudden she's a physical skeleton that he can actually hit with a stool? By this point, it doesn't matter anymore. I found it on a DVD pack that came with 50 movies for about $25. So that means this movie cost me about 50 cents. So considering the situation and how short this movie is, it's not much more than an hour, I say it's worth it for some chills and laughs. Wow. Well, pretty hefty plot synopsis we have that time. Let's see what we got in here. Ah! Help! It's the Screaming Skull! Ah!